Destroy it, turn it in, or become a felon. Those are your options. Before we get going though, I do want to say thank you to one of the sponsors of this channel. It is Route 66 Shooting Sport Park down in San Bernardino, California. If you're in the area, I highly recommend you check them out. They are an awesome range that lets you do all kinds of stuff that you're never going to see at a normal range, especially all of those things all together. They have steel range, you can shoot at distance, you can shoot on the move, they do action shooting matches all the time, cowboy action shooting, whatever it is that you want to do, if it involves a gun, you can do it there. For the most part. Big thank you to Route 66 for supporting me and sponsoring this channel, but let's get back into the topic today. For those of you that live in the state of Hawaii, recently the governor actually passed a law that would ban the possession of your legally possessed homemade firearms and 80%. So I want to give a big thank you to Cam Edwards. He does a whole lot that's really good. I'm a big supporter of him, and this article was just so well written that I just wanted to share this and be the main topic that we're going to be kind of going off. So if you want to read this for yourself and you don't want to watch this video, that's totally fine. Feel free to support Bearing Arms and Cam Edwards. So the title of this is Hawaii Governor Bans Home-Built Firearms. Now, this isn't something that is This isn't the first time we've seen something like this. In the state of California, if you have a home-built firearm, you basically have to have already registered it with the state, and if you want to build one for yourself, you're going to have to first apply for a serial number, and many other states have similar laws like this. This law goes a little bit further than what Hawaii had previously. The previous law that was passed a few years ago allowed people who were in possession of their, at the time, legally built homemade firearms to keep those. However, it banned the future manufacture of those, homemade firearms. This was, obviously an infringement on the average person's rights. Many people might be gun enthusiasts, but at the end of the day, they were allowed to keep those firearms, which is why a lot of people tend to not fight these laws. I think a big reason why we see these grandfather clauses in a lot of various firearms laws when it comes to making things illegal is because they know that people will get less worked up about it, and that's the problem. We need to be just as worked up about these whole grandfather clauses or allowing for registration, because ultimately, at the end of the day, it's just a delayed ban. They're going to eventually come for it when you die if you can't legally pass it on to your kids. So, we obviously need to be against all gun control like this. Now, House Bill 1366 actually expands the ban on home-built firearms that was originally approved last year. The new bill bans the possession of unfinished frames and receivers, as well as any home-built firearms that were legally constructed by Hawaii residents, meaning that if you have an 80% that's not currently machined out, which, as far as the feds are concerned, currently is not a firearm. That is subject to change, however, if you don't actually go out and comment on the ATF's proposed rules on frames and receivers. That's something that's important to do. I will leave a link down to my video below talking more about that. The law didn't previously ban possession for those guns that were owned prior to the ban imposed in 2020, but now these residents must either destroy their home-built guns, turn them over to the police, or risk a felony charge if they're found with an unserialized firearm when the new law takes effect on January 1st. Destroy it, turn it in, or become a felon. Those are your options. Gotta love that, right? Hey, it's totally legal for you to have this thing, and then, next year we're actually going to change our mind, because now it's a loophole. Those things that we specifically wrote in, now it's a loophole, even though we expressly said certain things were legal to do. Yeah, loophole, sure. They're just trying to compromise and take a little bit at a time, right? I made a video previously on why compromise isn't really compromise, so check that out. We must make our communities safer now. In schools, on the streets, in stores, and in our homes, said Tyler Dos Santos Tam, chair of the Democratic Party of Hawaii. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that name. I'm terrible with names that aren't just basic-ass, bland white people names. In a statement on Thursday, Hawaii is not immune to the type of gun violence we've seen on the mainland, and this bill is a welcome step in the right direction. This is why I wanted to actually share this article directly, because Cam puts it so perfectly. Nonsense. This bill will do nothing to prevent or reduce crime because there's no real way for police to proactively enforce the ban. If police discover an unserialized firearm was used in the commission of a crime, this would allow for another charge to be filed, but it's not going to prevent criminals from illegally acquiring or making firearms in the first place. I really love that, because these laws are written in a way so that, the police aren't taking your guns, they're not coming for your guns. Maybe not on a knock on the door nationwide basis, but what these laws do is allow people that might not be totally aware of all the ever-changing gun laws to get absolutely destroyed. We saw a similar situation with the firefighter who bought some stuff that the ATF said was fine in 2012, and then in 2018 they changed their mind and then his life is destroyed. That was a recent video, and that's a real situation where a good person was hurt. Good people will have their lives destroyed because of these laws. These laws will not affect criminals because when they show up at the scene of the crime, it's not like they just have, like, it's like, oh, ghost guns are illegal now, and then the cops have superpowers and can predict where they are and go find them with their telekinetic powers, or telekinesis is moving stuff. Telepathic? I don't know. But they're not psychic. They can't find these guns until they're used in a crime or they find someone in possession of one. So is it really actually doing anything? Because if they're doing something that's a crime and breaking laws, hurting someone with a firearm, does it really matter what type of gun was used? Because they can take it anyway. If you illegally shoot someone with a firearm, they're going to take that gun. Does it really matter if it was a ghost gun or not? No. So it's not going to actually do anything, but what it will do is people like you or me, let's say we're out shooting a gun that's legal, or if you're in Hawaii, I guess, so not me, because I likely wouldn't have ghost guns in Hawaii. But if you're a Hawaii resident and you're shooting, with a gun that you made maybe 5-6 years ago, you're not aware of the law, and then a cop rolls by and they say, hey, what's up with that? They take a look, and then if that cop wants to, they can completely destroy your life. It also then they also signed a bill, HB 31, which would allow criminal charges to be filed against gun owners who allow any of their firearms to be accessed by those under the age of 18. Now, I think Cam brings up a great point I think that every individual child is different. And having someone that might be 17, 18, or 16 or 17 years old that's responsible, knows how to safely handle a firearm, knows how to actually properly use it and when to and when not to use it. If you're going to leave your kid alone by themselves, would it be so terrible of you to allow them to have the tools to protect themselves? I mean, I think we just saw the other day stories about how some 12-year-old kid defended his family with an AR-15. There's been situations like that happen all the time. Being a kid, being a minor, doesn't necessarily make you automatically a, irrational bad person. So I think these laws, maybe if they, as Cam brings up, maybe if they brought in, more resources for public health and mental health for schools, maybe they could actually proactively fight these things, because we all know that it's a mental health issue and a crime issue and all these huge socioeconomic problems. But if we can focus on the root cause, which is typically mentally disturbed people who kind of float through the system, because a lot of these times where someone does something, they project or they send out memos, they say things, they actually say, I'm going to do these things, and then the police kind of don't do anything about it. Oftentimes we see that the FBI is aware of many of these people prior to them actually committing those acts. So why aren't they taking action on these people that are telling about their plans to literally go murder people? What's up with that? I think that we can be a lot more proactive. I think us as a gun community, we should be pushing for better programs to stop things at the root cause. If you have ideas that you want to share, feel free to drop those down below. I'd love to talk about those in more depth. But at the end of the day, you guys know the drill. Have fun, be safe, stay dangerous. Peace.